part one, and I am doing this early in the morning. My wife is still sleeping. She was up all night watching the Olympics, ice skating, and so I have to be very quiet. Part one deals with music. Hang on, I'm going to get to the bow building pretty soon, and it's going to be valuable in case you want to build bows. I've got my Izhevsk shirt on, go mosing. I've got my hat on because I'm tired of looking at my thinning gray hair. And I've got this with strings. They're lighter gauge. I had like these old cheap banjo strings laying around with the dulcimer. The beauty of it is it's simple to play. You can get complicated, of course, just like anything, but isn't that nice? D, double D strings, A, and then D an octave lower than that D. And you just kind of play. This is just like a scale along the, there's a name for that, I don't know. But you can just push it with one finger down. Listen to this. You shall be beguiled. Even my wife says she likes the sound of this. Part 1, subsection B, instruments. I watched a few videos today before I did this, before I attempted this video, and this one is about, do I need to buy an expensive banjo, mandolin, guitar, fill in the blanks? And you know what? I'll watch all these videos. I'm pointing up at my television screen there, which belongs in a living room, not on a car dashboard. I hate modern cars. But all these people are mentioning you can get a decent tone, you can get a good sound, you can get this chop, you can get this. They're all talking about the sound. Now, I have to play extremely quiet here, but especially for a beginner, you need to be concerned with the action. Nice low action, frets are in good condition, no buzzing. It's easy to play. A lot of it is having fun, being inspired, because my instrument, it's easy to push down. I don't have any fret buzz. It's just easy to play. And so I'm going to show you the enjoyment of a person getting bad tone, because I'm playing super quiet, loose pick. I'm not doing much, but I'm enjoying the heck out of a good instrument that has beautiful fretwork and it's easy to play. This thing is even easier to play than my Gibson, and that brings joy to my heart. And you can barely hear that because I'm playing really soft. Enjoying the heck out of this because this thing it plays like a freaking dream. You know, so if you're a beginner, first of all, it depends on what you mean by expensive. Some people might think that I paid $75 for this mandolin, it's cheap. Others may think I paid $200 for this mandolin, it's cheap. Some may think I paid $500 for this mandolin, it's cheap. Usually, the playability, that quality that inspires you to play an instrument, actually doesn't always have to do with tone. It's just how easy it is to play. In this one, I enjoy the heck out of it. Not getting good tone. This thing is powerful. If I was holding the pick firmer and hitting harder, it's loud. She would come out of the bedroom and give me the stink eye. But I'm still enjoying playing this because it's a good quality instrument, and it has to do with setup. It has to do with the fretwork, and usually if you get a bargain basement instrument, price point, they're not going to spend the time to set it up right. But anyway, if you can make a bow you can set up an instrument. Do not be afraid to do it yourself. And that would be one reason why you should get a $75 mandolin or whatever, because you're not going to be as frightened to make a sanding block and sand down the frets and then try to round them over a little bit. You're just not going to. But anyway, bows. Now I'm thinking, as I usually do once in a while, especially after I had 2 cups of coffee, 2 bows. 2 bows. 2 bows. Sighting down the limbs. This one is complete. And hint, hint, it's not called for. And if you wanted to get one of my paddle bows, this is the one to get. Beautiful, just simple design. Perfect grain. A beautiful bow. And I am not reluctant nor afraid whatsoever to just draw it back, because it's been finished tillered. This is a done bow. When I'm looking at it like this and pulling the string back, I'm sighting along the limbs for bend. And you can actually see bend, 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 even when I'm not drawing it back, all the way to here. And then it's stiff, but it's bending all the way to there. It is done, it is completed, it is at the desired draw weight. I don't know what it is, 50 pounds it feels like, or so, maybe 53. My favorite draw weight, in the low 50s. It's done. I can draw it back, I can have fun with it, I can string it and unstring it. This is a tillering string, by the way. I have a timber hitch right here, just basic elemental string, a timber hitch, and what I would call a bowyer's knot. Around, the wabbit goes under the hill, comes back, goes back around, and then a couple half hitches. Just a tillering string. Again, it is done. I'm listening to this bow. I'm not saying, bow, these are the conditions in which you will work. I'm saying, there's a negotiation. What is your draw length? How should the brace height be? I would like this, and the bow will say, well, okay, we can work with that. I want it to be this way. It's my partner. So, beautiful bow, beautiful bow. The next one is, in some people's minds, it could be considered finished. It's this one. I'm sighting along the limbs, and it's got a beautiful even bend all the way to here, almost to the tips. But let's back up a minute. You're a beginning bow maker. I'm going to say I'm a beginning bow maker. What are some of the things that I need to know in order to be successful at making a bow that shoots arrows? I need to understand bow design. How long it is, how wide it is, where do I begin the taper, how do I make the tips, do I want a bending handle or a non-bending handle? This is 61.5 inches long, so there is absolutely no reason under the sun for me to have it bending at all through the handle. What that would do is 2 things, actually. It would deliver hand shock in this length and weight of bow. The next thing is, I'm thinking that you can't get something for nothing. There will be a little string follow in this bow. If it's here, it's going to be amplified. If I have a certain radius of string set right here dead center with these limbs, it's gonna act like it's more. So that's part of the reason why I don't have this bending handle. I want to have the bend increasing as you go out, because as this bow is used 300 years from now, shooting millions of arrows, it's going to get some string follow. It just is, whatever. As you have that string follow going out, it's going to have less and less of an effect. Let's say it's totally whippy, which means it's straight, and then the only bend is here, which is ridiculous, but this is as they would say in physics class, a physics bow. If I got a little string follow here, and none, because it's not bending whatsoever, then the effects of when you brace it to the point where you get some tension, it's not going to be that far away from the handle. Expand your thoughts a little bit here. And so I like to have it no bend, and then increasing a little bit, almost an ellipse. This is not an ellipse. This is minus the non-bending handle, circular. So I am going to, before I pull this back, I'm going to, with a sanding block, not an orbital disc sander, because now we're talking very nominal thickness changes will affect it a great deal. As you zero in on the finished bow, then it's like a curve. However, the curve is it takes less and less material to show an effect. And one of the worst things you can do is suddenly have a bow that's like 20 pounds less than your target draw weight because you rushed it. You need to know the materials. If this was yew, or Pacific yew, or Italian yew, or juniper, or Osage orange, or red oak, or black oak, or yellow cedar, whatever, which is, let's not get into that whole kettle of worms with the cypresses, cedar, juniper thing. You have to have a basic understanding of the structural elements within a bow's framework. That's a tricky way of just putting myself in the corner. I should have just said the physical properties of each wood. You have to also have an ability to use tools, so that's 3 things. And most important, this is what we all fight, no matter how experienced you are: patience. How can you ruin a bow? Bad design, bad material choice. But more often than not, ruining a bow has to do with being impatient. If I was to draw this back too much, I'm going to ruin this bow before it's when it's finished, but really before it's finished. Don't draw back much. When it's on a tillering stick, don't fight that urge to, if you want a 50-pound bow, don't draw it way back and pull it with 90 pounds. You're going to ruin it. Be very gentle, be very patient, be able to step away, take a break, play your mandolin or your dulcimer, and then come back fresh and not rushed. I'm not going to draw this back any more than this. I'm not going to hurt it, because for all practical purposes it is finished tillered, but I want to have it more elliptical than circular and get more bend out here, so I'm not going to draw it back. I could. I'm not going to hurt this bow, but it's close enough, but philosophically it is not finished, so I'm not going to draw it back all the way. Be able to do that. Another way, besides drawing it back too far before it's ready to be drawn back, is stringing the thing before you know it is balanced within, maybe if you set this down here and you measure it from your work surface, tip to work surface, tip to work surface. If it's more than a ½ an inch, and I'm being very generous there, it could be 3/4 of an inch and you're not going to destroy the bow. But before you know that those limbs are balanced, do not string your bow. Do not say, I want to see what it looks like, and string your bow. Fight that urge. Because I've seen bows that I was working with another person, one-on-one, actual physical, I'm teaching you how to make a bow. I don't let them take it home anymore. It stays here until it's balanced, because I've seen more than once a person coming back with a straight limb and a gink in one. And I can tell you, student, you screwed up your bow because you tried to string it and it wasn't ready. I've also seen that, and I'm remembering this one. It was a beautiful ash longbow, an American style longbow. It, parallel limbs and then a taper, and had a narrow, thick handle. It was your standard longbow. And I sold this beautiful bow to this guy, and then he took a picture of it and sent it to me, where it was a straight limb in a severe bend. Now, it was ready to be strung. It was a beautiful working longbow, but what that guy did was, when he was, like I tell people, you put one tip on the ground, put a hat down there if it's on the dirt, put your knee center of the handle. You're holding this tip right at the tip, so it's got the 3 points of contact, balanced, knee at the center of the handle, pressure on the tips, stringing it. This dude, for some reason, must have had his knee down here. And that was enough of a trauma for that bow to then straighten and bad stringing technique, and also stringing them too soon will kill your bow. And what I did with that beautiful ash bow was I heat treated the limbs and then heat bent the thing back straight, tested it for a couple weeks, shooting it a lot, perfectly fine, because ash is one of those woods that responds well to dry heat. I used a heat gun. Ash responds well, better than red oak, a lot better than elm, you know, again, knowing your materials. But that ash bow was thoroughly tested. It was vetted by me. I sold it on eBay, stating the story of this bow. I said that this bow was damaged, but I repaired it, so it's a used bow. Sold it at a huge discount. The person that I sold it to knew what the heck they were doing. The scary part about selling bows is sometimes put it in the hands of a meathead. And that person enjoyed that bow for a long time. It worked because they knew what they were doing. And that goes back into, okay, bow, I am not going to dictate the conditions under which you operate. You are going to give me feedback. You're going to tell me what you want the brace height, and this is low. This can be like 4.5 inches, 5 inches when this is done, but we'll see. I'm not going to dictate to you. If I wanted to dictate to you like that, I would have a 68-inch Osage longbow that you could brace to 12 inches if you wanted, and it's not going to hurt it. You know, different woods respond differently to stuff. Which leads me into the last part, the future of John. Now, it could go two ways. Fork in the road. I wouldn't entirely give up bows, but my newest thing, aside from that dulcimer, is claw hammer banjo. And I made a, look it up if you don't know what these are, mountain banjo or Appalachian style banjo. I made one before. In fact, I've got parts in the pole barn to make another one. I might invest my time for a while making banjos. I might write my second book. But if I stick with bows and don't do the banjos, because believe me, I've got enough instruments around to keep me busy for 1,000 years, I would do it in response to my research. First of all, there's not a lot of people making red oak bows. One reason is hickory is more foolproof. It is. It can stand a lot more abuse than red oak. It's just a tough wood. You're going to get more string follow probably. And this is a point of argument. Nothing against hickory as a bow wood. It's been used for a long time. It's a wonderful bow wood. If you're a hickory guy or woman, it's a beautiful bow wood. Don't take this wrong. But it's denser than red oak. It's a little heavier. It's harder to work with. In the cons, if you're in a humid place, it's very much more prone to string follow than red oak. I don't need to use hickory. My red oak bows are great. I love red oak bow. I love red oak. But not a lot of people are selling red oak just because hickory is foolproof. And again, when you're selling bows, you have to make sure that no matter who you put the bow into their hands, that even if they abuse it horribly, that it's going to survive. That's one reason why I rawhide back things. It makes them bulletproof. Hickory is a little more forgiving. Red oak I love, so I use red oak. But I also was researching how many people make 3 and 5 bends. 5 bends would be cupid shape. I'm going to look on the internets, the interwebs. How many Cupid bow for sale? Gullwing bow for sale. As rare as hen's teeth. There is a fellow, I want to be like him when I grow up, Krakow. I don't even know if Krakow is in business anymore. Reproductions. Krakow's bows sold for big bucks, but they should have, because this guy was a master. I'm pretty good, but please don't call me a master, because then that puts in this mindset I know everything, and I don't. Believe me. But if I really wanted to find this niche where nobody else is operating, gullwing and Cupid bows. So maybe, if I'm not making banjos, I'll go down and I'll work things out, work on the process, because they are products. I'm not going to buffalo you. The secret of being able to make a little extra money and not be in the charitable business, which I'm all for charity, is being able to make something at a good price and be good enough at it so you can do it quickly enough to make a little bit on the side, a little side hustle. I could easily capture the market in gullwings and Cupid bows, because I don't know, I don't see them out there. There's obviously some people out there making them for sale, but not many. I like to find that little niche, just like my red oak bows, my paddle bow, my talisman. I'm in a niche. I like that. People are like, why don't you make Osage orange longbows? Well, I could, but there's already some great numbers of people that are doing that. I want to be a big fish in a little pond. Anyway, that is it. That is it. This is fun. This is a great instrument too if you like old-timey music. And